All right, I think volume and everything's on. We're we're in business, everybody.
Hey
Hey,
everybody.
Hey, Greg, Eric.
nice to be here, everyone.
Yeah. Now, how are both of you doing?
Can't complain, can't complain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel I'm in the same place.
Yeah, another
Um.
day.
No. Yeah. Another day. Actually, things are going all right. I feel most of my time as of late, or a lot of my time as of late, has been spent working on drawing Christmas cards. So I guess I almost have nothing to show hobby wise with like what I've been working on.
Yeah, I must say I can't say I've been the whole lot either.
I guess
Unfortunately,
also recently here in America, there was like a holiday weekend of sorts with Thanksgiving and everything. So
yeah, no, I feel that has dramatically limited my like output or doing anything. But I guess that's kind of the nature of things, I suppose.
yeah, no, there's always something.
Yeah, I mean that. I guess as the year winds down with like Thanksgiving here, and then hell, it's like 3 weeks already until the whole Christmas sort of time. So
Yeah, no, it doesn't leave a lot of time.
yeah, so I feel it's gonna be probably difficult to accomplish too much.
Hey, Captain Timboy, glad to see you here today. Hopefully, you're doing well.
Yeah, nah, nice to see you.
So yeah, I think so. Thus far, in terms of the Christmas cards, I've been working on drawing a bunch with birds, and then also I've been slowly working on some Star Wars themed ones as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is only a very preliminary sketches and stuff, but I started to sketch one out of IG-88 snowmen. And so from my understanding, I think there were four of them. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was trying to, I'm gonna have four of the snowmen there.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, there are four.
Okay,
Sort of
that's what I thought.
shared. I don't know. Consciousness is maybe not the right word, but
Yeah, no, I don't know. And to be honest, I haven't paid that much attention to a lot of the background of Star Wars, aside from maybe a few characters here and there, or some of the books, for instance, that I read years and years ago.
agreed.
Um,
But now with all that Mandalorian excitement,
yeah, no, it's true. I mean, I guess in the first episode, there's like a bounty hunter assassin droid, which it's not IG-88. Maybe it's like
But
IG-11 or something.
yeah,
yeah,
it's 11, so it's basically the same droid.
Yeah, it looks about the same.
Yeah.
Because like in the IG-88, like all you really saw him was he was standing there when Darth Vader was talking to the bounty hunters, and then I think you saw his ruined husk in Jabba's palace in the final Return of the Jedi. So you essentially
I
didn't see
remember
anything.
that. Uh,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Boba Fett killed him or destroyed at least one of them
hmm
um, when he was trying to get Han Solo. Not that it matters a whole lot. And I don't know what the other three what they were doing, if they're still around or Who
Mhm.
knows? Who knows? Um, yeah, so I guess tonight's going to be a little different. I think most of what we're going to do is we're again going to talk about the new, hey, Lifeboat, we're going to be talking about the new Sister of Battle models. Um,
Because we actually got some of them.
yeah, no, we were actually pretty fortunate over the weekend. We went around, we just went to one hobby shop to see if they had any of the new Sister Battle army sets, and
They did, and we were fortunate enough we were fortunate to have the opportunity to spend a lot of money.
yeah, no, they had tons of them. As a matter of fact, the store, um, which sort of surprised me.
Well,
Um,
and we can go in and soon we'll be able to tell you, and we got a bad box.
yeah, um, but it sort of surprised me. I know some of the more local game shops that I frequent. I don't, they don't. I don't think they move like a huge amount of Games Workshop products. So like I think they maybe got like one or two of the sets, and they were immediately like flagged for other regulars and stuff. But the store we went to this time, the Adventurers Guild, um, it had tons of them, and it was to the point where when we went to the store, Greg and I, um, there were a lot of people at the store buying Games Workshop stuff, but no one seemed to care about the
Hmm.
Sisters of Battle.
Yeah, people weren't rushing in to get them, except for me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Just me.
Yeah, so I sort of feel like based on the different stores, based on the volume of product they sell,
Hmm.
um, based on that, they were allotted a lot more than, say, some of the other ones. It's to the point where I feel if you still really did wanted the set and weren't able to order it from Games Workshop, I feel if you went to enough stores, you could
Or just
probably
call
find
a
one.
bunch. Yeah.
It is overrated, but I was the set's pretty nice. Like the production values of the box and everything are good. Um, the biggest thing that the biggest thing that I was disappointed with, let's see if I have pictures of it, were the mold lines on the sprues in the box. They're pretty bad. I took a few pictures, so here's a picture here. Um, I mean, they're certainly not the worst I've seen from Games Workshop, but it's been a while. It's been a few years since I've seen something that are this bad, where the mold lines are very noticeable, and it's almost to me it almost looks as if the two halves of the mold came apart slightly, and some of the plastic seeped out. Um, so like these models, if you assembled them and didn't trim off the mold lines, they would actually look bad.
And I
Whereas
feel a lot of GW's recent or like models I've worked with, they're pretty good. Like they often hide mold lines, and even if they don't, like they're not wildly noticeable. I mean,
these are noticeable.
I still spend a while to get them off, but like
And like
these
here's
things.
another picture, like on this one of the Repenta's legs, like it looks like some of the old some of the original, or not necessarily original, but like I remember when the plastic tactical Space Marine Squad was released, those casts were bad. They weren't good. And this kind of looks like that.
Yeah, I
So
mean, we can probably talk more about some of this stuff a little later, but yeah, yeah, I haven't done anything like was said. And so
um,
unfortunately I can't talk about painting any of those bone trees anymore because they're finished.
yeah, too bad. So I guess before we talk too much more about the sisters, Greg, do you have anything to talk about, like music wise?
I guess probably the biggest thing, one of my favorite singer-songwriters, Micah Schnabel, just released a new album, a solo album. So he's one of the singers to kind of like a punk rock, slightly country tinged punk rock band called Two Cow Garage that the three of us have been following for a while. And Micah also has released a bunch of solo albums, and this is his fourth full length solo album in about 10 years' time, I would say. It just came out today, actually. Um, and he self released it, so it's not through a record label or anything. Um, it's really good. He's a really good storyteller, I would say. Um, and all of the things he sings about seem genuine. I would say that a lot of the songs are sad songs, but they're not all just sad songs about like failing relationships and whatnot, which I mean, he certainly has some of them. But I feel now that he's getting older, not all the stuff that he writes about is things like that. Um, a lot of the newer songs, he'll write stuff about like growing up in Ohio, rural Ohio, and the poverty in that area and how that affected his life and whatnot. Um, so yeah, it's a great record. Now, mind you, I've only listened to it today and a little bit last evening, right? I guess it was basically today once it struck midnight and you could listen to the album. Um, but there's a song called How to Ride a Bike. It's kind of upbeat and fun about how he wants to get a bike and ride one again after not doing so for like 20 years. And it's kind of pessimistic. It's great.
Yeah, no, it's good. The album's good. I listened to it, I don't know, four
It's
or
been a
five
long
times
time since
today.
I've ridden a bike, probably like 20 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, and as Greg, you were saying that, yeah, he's a really, really gifted lyricist, like has lots of kind of clever plays and words and just sings in an emotional way. And just the things that he's talking about and singing about it's very clear that it's like genuine. And I think that makes it pretty special, at least to me.
I agree.
Like I would say, like all of his albums are good and worth listening to if you haven't.
Well, I'm on Bandcamp, or at the very least, all of his solo stuff's up on Spotify, so you can listen to it on Spotify and rack up the number of streams on there, because I think that matters.
It probably does matter. I like don't listen to anything on Spotify.
Well, I didn't really either, but I think I'm going to try to start just to hopefully increase the exposure of artists that I like.
Yeah, I mean, life as a musician is hard. It's hard.
And I would say it's amazing. So, Two Cow Garage, I mean, they've been playing for a long time. I mean, I'd say the three of us first found out about them towards the end of our college career, so maybe in like 2008 or something. And by that time, they had just released their fourth record.
Mm-hmm.
So they had already been a band for like close to 10 years, if not 10 years. So now Two Cow Garage has been a band for like 20 years, and they've been touring around the country nonstop. So they've worked really hard and certainly don't have any large recognition for that. I mean, the very notion that they don't have a record label. Micah self-released this is kind of sad.
Yeah.
I think I saw that he's gonna be touring with Frank Turner in the UK sometime soon.
Oh,
That's cool.
that'll help. And
Yeah, so people like Frank Turner.
yeah,
He's pretty good.
blew up in popularity, I feel.
Yeah, but so I think he's gonna be in the UK. So I mean, that would be something worth looking at
Hey, Eli.
if any of you are in the UK.
Eli's here.
Yeah, hey Eli. And yeah, Captain Timberlake. Yeah, at least we did see the newer bone tree that's like kind of the jaw or the two jaw bones sort of together. And yeah, so I'll have to get that at some point, so then I can have a few more weeks talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah, you better get it soon before you forget how you painted the other ones.
yeah,
Did you write it down, Eric?
I did. I actually did it last
Yeah,
night.
holy shit. Is
I
it in
put
a
it
little
in.
moleskin or a little book?
Yeah, a little moleskin book.
That's cool. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, here it is. A
Perfect.
little book that
That's what I do. I have a little book like that.
It's easy to not do it,
Mm-hmm.
but I put it in there.
I guess one thing we should also talk about recently on Shapeways, Tears of Envy put up like a little thing where you can buy her little cassette, as she calls it, cassette case card carrier, which if you've looked at Tears of Envy's blog over the past few months, she's had a few posts about essentially designing like um, tiny little things where you can carry all your like dice, stat cards, and other stuff for like a particular game. And she initially did that for her Mordheim warband for the Mordheim 2019 event. And all of that was designed to fit in like a little plastic cassette case. So there's room for a few dice, other like little random tokens, and the tiny little cards. So certainly, if anyone's interested in doing a similar thing, you can now buy on Shapeways that little plastic insert. So then, if you get some dice and make your own little cards, like and can find a cassette case, you could be in business. So yeah, I think that's pretty neat. Like I know when I saw them, I was kind of interested in maybe trying to do something similar, but it's hard to find the time to do all those things.
And it would be good if we had some graphical design training or something.
Yeah, because I
feel like
certainly don't.
I feel like I have enough of a sense of what looks good, but not necessarily how to achieve that.
I hear that. Hey, Vox, nice to see you here.
Oh, hey, Vox.
But so yeah, like I think we should probably try and get one or two of them on the beach camping. Perfect.
Hey, so my computer crashed.
Oh,
Eric.
Hey, yeah, but I feel it would be kind of cool to get one or two of these and make a little cassette case thing like that for like a war band or something.
Maybe we should try and do this for all of our war bands in the future now. We could even try and buy custom dice. That
yeah.
seems like that would be hard though.
Well, actually, so that's dedication, Vox. You're camping at a beach and you're still logging on to watch our stream.
Yeah, thank you for the support.
Yeah, that's something.
Eli, you're pretty good at Visio. I don't even know what the fuck that is. I don't know what that is.
I have a small amount of experience with like Illustrator and Photoshop, but it's really I feel the big problem with that is
Visio is a Microsoft program, Greg, like a vectoring graphic thing.
Oh,
I very rarely do any editing or anything, so it's like I figure out how to do a few small things and then don't do any editing for like another year or so, and then I've already forgotten everything.
yeah.
Oh, I'm glad.
I hear
Hopefully
that.
she gets at least something out of the stream. But hopefully you have more fun camping at the beach.
It's true.
So yeah, if you're at all interested in making your own little game aids to fit in a cassette case, think about supporting Tears of Envy. Because I don't really know how Shapeways works. Does anyone know how it works? Like if you design something and sell it through them, presumably you get some monetary benefit from that. Like, and they probably
Yeah,
get something as
I'm pretty certain.
because
Yeah.
they will
But-
actually just 3D print stuff.
Is it all 3D printed stuff, Shapeways?
I
Yeah,
think so. Also, here, for instance, like the cheapest option for this is the white processed versatile, some white plastic stuff. That's $20. But then they
Oh,
also have like
shit.
matte black steel. You could get a steel one for $90. So it's like
Whoa.
and
Sign
black
me
print.
up.
Yeah. So and I know for like a lot of the stuff they sell, if they're like printing like miniature pieces and stuff, you can pay more for like more finely detailed prints and stuff. For something like this, I don't think it actually matters. But
yeah.
so yeah. Oh, I guess we should also mention just recently, there's been a new Jeff Vader from the Convertorium, or he's known as Jeff Vader, on that's I guess his internet handle. He from the blog The Convertorium. He's finally on Instagram.
Yes, for his he also has one for his sort of illustrations and stuff too.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel there was a flurry of activity on Instagram like yesterday or so when he first showed up on Instagram of people posting stories and stuff advertising the fact. So you're probably following it at this point, but if not, certainly worth following his stuff.
Mm-hmm. He already has 864 followers. That's great. And he has tons of models and stuff in his backlog, so he should be able to. It's certainly if he wants to be posting pictures of his miniatures and stuff for a while.
Yeah, no, that is true.
And hopefully it'll actually encourage other people to go and look at his blog too, because a lot of the blog posts are really good. He has a really distinct and neat painting style as well. And I know, for instance, like the Vampire Lord for his Mordheim Warband, it really has strong visual likeness to a lot of his like illustrations and stuff that he does. So that's neat. You can see a lot of connections between his like two-dimensional artwork and the three-dimensional artwork he's working on.
No, yeah, it's very true. It's like he published a book about vampires and undead and that sort of thing, and they like a lot of the illustrations and stuff. I feel fit pretty nicely with like that vampire he did for Mordheim 2019.
Yes, certainly. Okay, well, I mean, maybe we want to get back to talking about the sisters.
Yeah, let's talk about the
Sisters
Sisters
of
of Battle and how the models we got have a fuck ton of mold lines. You want to just throw them in the trash.
It's not quite that
Sure.
bad, but they are, I feel, the worst mold lines I've seen on a GW product in years. And I think Vox, you were able to get some of them. I don't know if you've had time to really look too closely at the models themselves or assemble any of them, but I'd be interested in knowing if how the mold lines looked on yours. But and then particularly for like some of them, like it really to me looks as if the two halves of the molds partially separated or just some of the plastic seeped out of that, and you have areas where it's almost like a thin film of plastic that you can like kind of break off. And so I don't know. I mean, it's not like you won't be able to clean these up and have them look nice, but um, I feel over the past years, Games Workshop has gotten better and better to the point where if you don't have a lot of time, a lot of the models you could assemble them and not really worry about most of the mold lines, and they'd still look pretty good. These, if you don't make a serious effort at removing them, they'll look really bad. So that's kind of
It's a bummer to spend like $200 on all those models and stuff, and then get them and see that they have all those mold lines that would take forever to cut them off to the point that like you don't even know if it's worth it doing it.
So Vox says she's assembled a bunch of them. Hers were fairly good, only minor work. Some had no visible lines. She does say the Repenta were rough. Also, one line runs over their port, so it's hard to draw. Yeah, okay. I've looked over like some of the different sprues, and some are certainly worse than others, but they're all worse than I was expecting them to be.
Yeah, because I feel a lot of the stuff I've worked with recently, like the Adeptus Titanic, a bunch of Adeptus Titanicus models, some Aeronautica stuff, things like that, which I guess admittedly were from specialist games, but they were all pretty good. And I mean, in such that often you could they would hide mold lines, that sort of thing. And even the ones that were there, you probably wouldn't have to do much to remove them because they look okay without it. But I mean, I still spend a while because I want to get it as good as I can. But nothing like these. Yeah, as you were saying, Adam, I feel a bunch of these. If you wouldn't do anything with them, they would just be terrible. It'd be hard to paint them and like take them seriously.
I mean, some of the stuff even reminds me of what you would see on like resin models. If there are any like straight edges, sometimes they're like it's almost like they're warped or something, or like one corner of it, where it's like it looks like the mold slipped. Which I think the plastic molds work quite a bit different than like the ones for resin, so I don't know. Yeah, Captain Timbley says we we simply are spoiled. Remember the plastic kits from 10 years ago? Mold lines slip. Yeah, so that's certainly very true. I certainly remember like a lot of the old, like even
The old metal.
newer plastic tactical marines. When those plastic tactical marines, the multi-part ones, were first released, they were pretty bad. But
The
I
old
guess in this
models.
case, I was just surprised how, if I compare them to a lot of the other newer releases, they just don't look great. But I sort of feel like just with their production, probably with every release, some of the stuff looked kind of like this.
But I mean, this looks like they don't have someone checking stuff off. Like they don't. There's no one to like look at the sprues before they're packaged. I mean, maybe they don't. I'm pretty sure they've started for Forge World. They have that like someone even signs that they've done it. I mean, I guess that's probably because Forge World has for years they'd like just send out trash and then have to send duplicates. Like I feel we purchased a bunch of like the Forge World Primarch models over the years, and I feel like virtually every single one of them they had to send us basically the model a second time because the mold lines and stuff were so bad.
Yeah,
And
no, some of them were awful. But those with
like,
the resin models, there the danger of like the mold like shifting on part of the model is a lot higher to the point where, in some instances, like the piece could actually be ruined. With these, that's not really the case. It's just um, in this case, I mean, it doesn't really matter a whole lot for us because we were always going to remove all the mold lines anyway. But
and I mean, to be honest, we're not going to assemble all these, not even close. So,
yeah,
but I think it does make it such that it makes one less inclined. Like we got it for like maybe conversion purposes and making a few models here and there, but like this makes it such that you like don't even want to do that.
Yeah.
but so one thing that was interested in seeing was kind of getting a sense of like how some of the weapon sizes compare because we're all big about that. I know there was some talk already online on like Instagram about like the different sizes of the weapons, and
Yeah, Tony from Iron Sleep posted up something.
yeah, and they're like their actual bolters are they're a little smaller than the standard plastic Space Marine bolter, which is good, and even more noticeable are they're actually the bolt pistols. They're pretty markedly smaller than the Space Marine ones, so I feel that's good. And I think particularly when like the multi-part plastic Sisters of Battle are released, I I could see some people who are interested in like smaller weapons and stuff actually replacing like a lot of the Space Marine ones with some of these because they are, particularly the pistols, they're a lot smaller. And the same is true for um, the plasma pistol in this set. The Seraphim, the leader of that squad, has a plasma pistol, and like the bolt pistol, it's significantly smaller than the Space Marine plasma pistols.
Yeah,
What is interesting
that's
though
nice.
is the leader of in this set, the Canoness. She has a plasma pistol like slung on her back, and that plasma pistol is the same size as a normal Space Marine one. So I sort of thought that was strange, where they actually, at least to some degree, redesigned and made a smaller pistol, but then decided not to use that for all of
Yeah,
the
that's
models.
curious. I mean, I think we talked about it once on the stream in the past that how bad that plasma pistol on the Canoness looks. Like, it looks like she has like a plasma rifle hanging there. Like, and even if it was a plasma rifle, it would still be kind of stupidly large. But
Oh, let me
but
see if I
yeah,
can get a picture of it.
but I mean, it's still nice. It's nice that the Volters are smaller, and as some people, as Tony suggested on his post there, that I feel they would look pretty good on Space Marines or Primaris Space Marines.
Yeah,
The
Primaris Space
normal
Marines.
Space Marines are so like stubby and weird looking that
Okay,
I,
so here's like a vague picture of that plasma pistol on her back. Um, I feel if I end up assembling this model, I feel I would be tempted to just remove the pistol entirely. So it's
Yeah.
not adding anything to the model. I will say, if you look at the bolters, the Sister of Battle bolters pretty similar in size to the newer bolters from the Enforcer models, the Necromunda ones. Though the Enforcer bolter, the one thing that I think is a lot nicer about it compared to both the Marine bolter and the Sister of Battle bolter is if you compare where the barrel is to like where the grip of the rifle is or the weapon is, they're much closer. So, and like with like a real firearm, for instance, the more in line the barrel is with like your hand and everything, it's easier to control. So in this case, all three of the weapons are pretty similar in like the overall height of the weapon, but the height is distributed a little better on the Enforcer bolter. So a lot of the mass of like the outer casing is actually below where the hand is, like the trigger finger and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that makes it look better. Whereas I feel
it makes it look
were,
like more like a real weapon.
Yeah, I feel if I were going and converting one of the Sister of Battle bolters, I would probably end up just cutting off roughly half of the top of the weapon to make the height of it a lot smaller, and then probably just replacing the barrel entirely with a brass rod or a brass tube. And then you'd probably want to change the magazine as well.
The Sister bolter has the awkwardly placed charging handle too.
Yes, that's also true. So in terms of the weapons, like I feel the Enforcer bolter looks a lot better, at least in terms of design and everything. But the Sister of Battle one still looks good. Like it has a lot of the imagery and stuff is much more akin to the classic look of like the second edition weapons and stuff. So I think if you like some of that look, I think it would look nice on Space Marines and stuff like that.
And I feel if the multi-part kit that comes out whenever, if there's, I think that some of them might make it easier to do those sort of conversions that could make it more doable. Although admittedly, I really doubt, even with the more multi-part one, I doubt they would have it such that their hands like weren't on the foregrips of the bolters, you know?
Yeah.
Like they've far moved past that. Like they don't really release those like cupped hands anymore.
Yeah. So one thing that I do really like about the models, a lot of the models, they have a lot of like equipment and stuff on their waist. Like here, for instance, I have a picture of one of them, and they all have a bunch of like pouches and stuff on their backs and sides. In this case, they sort of look like they'd be something for like a pistol magazine or something, which doesn't really follow with the look of their pistols and stuff, so I don't really know what they're carrying in these, but they look cool. And they also have, at least some of the models have holstered sidearms that you can glue to the side of them, so they look more prepared for war than some of the other models.
What the Arco Flagellants? He just built an Arco Flagellant. How do the Arco Flagellants in this set look like? I mean, I think we already talked about them based on pictures before, but seeing them in person maybe is a little different.
So I haven't actually gone and assembled one yet, but they are they're certainly a lot smaller than the Blood Bowl like Wood Elf models. So the one I converted is quite a bit larger, which I feel can work and be okay, but I feel like they're sized a little better than they're sized a little better than some of the other Games Workshop models and everything, and I feel they're more in line with like the Primaris Space Marines and stuff like that. Um, since I haven't actually finished assembling any of the models, I can't really show you like good
Comparisons.
comparison pictures and stuff, but I've certainly seen a bunch of images and stuff online comparing them in size to like Primaris Space Marine models and stuff like that. And I feel at a glance they look pretty good. Like they're
I think I shared a picture or like an Instagram
okay.
thing.
Oh, well, yeah, so here's a fun picture showing comparing side by side one of the older metal versions of a Sister of Battle with one of the newer plastic ones, and yeah, the sizes are remarkably different.
Well, I think that sister, the new sister, while being bigger, I think the bolter there looks comically large.
It does.
It looks huge. And despite them being smaller than the standard bolters, it's just way too big.
Because
Which
on
is-
the metal model, it doesn't look as bad. It's still big, but
Yeah, it looks more.
Well, and one thing that's interesting, so the bolter was still made smaller than the Space Marine one, but it looks like the thickness of the bolter remained the same.
Yeah, so
Which
that's true.
that,
Like if you
I think goes
compare,
a long way in making it look larger than it perhaps is. Like if it was thinner, if it was like it wouldn't come across.
what needs to be that thick because each of the bolt rounds are tiny rockets.
no, I mean that is pretty funny to think about, but yeah.
It's part of the ingenious design.
Yeah, but they're a lot bigger. I mean, I guess it's primarily they're a lot taller.
Yeah.
And their bolters are a lot bigger, but that's, I mean, obviously.
Did Miniature Darkness, did he post a picture comparing to a Primaris as well?
I linked that to, yeah.
Oh.
He has a series of comparing it to various models.
But so yeah, if you compare one to like, oh, I bet it's in here, to like a normal plastic Space Marine, wow, it's bad. But
They're like, at least if they were both standing like straight, she's probably close to a head taller than a normal Space Marine.
yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. If you compare it to one of the Primaris Marines, so here I feel, I almost feel it's almost you get like an illusion that the Primaris Marine's a lot larger, but I don't. I feel if they were both standing up tall, and if the Sister of Battle was in a much bulkier suit of armor, they'd be about the same size, or at least they'd be pretty similar in size. So, certainly, the whole notion of scale falls flat when you're comparing it to the older Space Marines, which is to be expected. But overall, I think they look pretty good. Like the Primaris Space Marines at least look slightly taller, so I guess that's good. But
I mean, I feel it certainly doesn't work in the sense that the Primaris are supposed to be bigger and stronger than Space Marines. But if you think of the Primaris as just a Space Marine, it's not too bad. But I do kind of agree, Adam, that if the sisters just had bulkier armor, they would be smaller, but not substantially. Like her head there would fit in, like, would probably fit nicely into one of those Primaris helmets.
Yeah. Oh, then you can see the funny bolt rifle. How? Ooh, that's bad. So yeah, I don't know. The new models certainly look good, but they're huge, which we sort of saw that coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the ingenious design of the bolter.
So we have like 15 minutes until we've been here for an hour. Maybe we want to stop talking about the sisters.
But Greg, they're so awesome.
Well, I guess, does anyone have any questions for us about them now that we actually have some of the models and we can look at them? I mean, I guess, actually, let's see how bad this looks. Okay, so here's the workstation camera. Where is... Oh. Okay, so here's one of the arcoflagellants, and if we compare it to the one that I was working on, it obviously doesn't look... Let me actually remove the base.
Yeah, it's hard to compare it easily, but he does look bigger.
Yeah, he's significantly larger.
I mean, I guess just the Blood Bowl models in general
They're
tend to
huge.
be.
They're huge. Part of that has to do with just the anatomy in general is better, but for these models, the anatomy in general isn't nearly as, say, heroic as some of the other stuff Games Workshop has put out. One of the things, like, I guess I hadn't paid too much attention to it, but man, I'm not excited about the flying stands. I mean, I never really loved the clear plastic stands, but these, like, and I think these are similar to what was seen in, like, Dark Imperium and stuff. You have to actually, like, glue them to the model itself, or at least I think that's what they want you to do.
It's an ingenious design.
Yeah. And I don't know, I wouldn't be too jammed
You
about
might
that.
you might need to minimize the one camera to see if to show those bases.
To show what bases?
Or weren't you talking about the flying stands?
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, the flying stands, like, don't really love them. And then again, I mean, maybe, like, trying to replace them with, like, other, like, bulkheads and stuff with them, like, leaping off of could be okay. Some of that comes off as a little forced, I feel, but it still would probably work a little better than some of these. They still look okay, but I don't even know what I would want. What would be better than this?
Yeah, I feel it's like kind of hard either way. Like I think the sort of flying stand thing is nice, not having to force in terrain onto the bases, but then it makes them a lot taller.
Like them.
Makes them a lot taller, and so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love them. They're just as bad as the old ones, snapping if you look at them the wrong way. Okay. Good to know.
Isn't that what you want, though?
Yeah, always.
I mean, I feel some of their older flying stands have like kind of the ball and socket thing, which is pretty nice. Although I guess it really wouldn't work that well for models like this in the sense that you probably don't really want to have a big hole drilled out in the bottom of one of their backpacks or something. Whereas it works, kind of
Yeah,
works
probably
okay
not.
for like a jet bike or something like that, like you don't really miss it, but yeah, this I feel is a little different. But so yeah, I feel it's just it is what it is.
It is interesting. So one thing that always, so like, where can I find? Oh, so here, for instance, we have one of their little holstered pistols. It always surprised me, like, um, why do they make the holstered pistols so different from the pistols they're actually carrying? Like,
Because they
they,
realize the pistols they're carrying are kind of awkward and don't make
yeah,
sense.
because it's like they look nothing like this. They look nothing like that. So, um,
Yeah, it's interesting.
yeah, I don't know why they do it. I mean,
Also, it's a different gun. It's
yeah,
like
I mean, that's just what it
a
is.
stub pistol or something.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. Um, I think the heads on the models are actually smaller than like the metal Sisters of Battle.
Okay.
I mean, I might be wrong, but visually, just looking at them, they're pretty tiny.
Mm-hmm.
No, but so I'll be interested. Like, I feel eventually I would like to get a Prime Space Marine and give them one of the Sister of Battle bolt pistols. I think it would look good. So long as if you
What you
want to
should
keep
really
everything that
do,
look.
it would be really cool to convert a few of these sisters and give them Primaris bolt rifles.
Oh my god, that would be so great. I wish I had a bolt rifle here. Well, so another thing that I would sort of like to do, just to laugh, so like the like larger true scale Space Marine that I made like a year or two ago, I have some casts of that model. And they're like roughly the size of a Primaris Space Marine. Not a Primaris, like a Primarch, one of the Forge World Primarch models. I'd be interested in seeing like how bad does the bolt rifle look on one of these models. Oh, Captain Timley says, or give them the Hellblaster plasma.
Oh my god, the
That
Hell
would be
Blaster.
great. Oh man.
That would be intense.
hmm It would be awful. It would be so awful. She was. I wonder what would one of the sister battle bolters look like if you gave it one of the like stalks or something from some of the Necromunda rifles. It would actually, I think, look pretty good. Well, can't really get that to focus too well, but I feel you could do it with a little work, and it might be worth trying.
Yeah, no, I think it would work.
So I feel, if anything, I'll probably eventually, once I find the time, I will convert one of these sisters or so and rework their rifles to look better, at least in my opinion. Um,
Yeah, no, that would be cool. And I mean, it would be neat to just see what one of these bolters looked like on a Primaris or something like that.
yeah, I think that would be kind of neat. Yeah, I don't have any. I don't have any of the models here now to really compare, but they would work pretty well.
Yeah, I admit I haven't really seen too many conversions that people have been doing online with any of these models. I'm sure they will start to show up.
Yeah.
Although I guess it's sort of hard, like to do it, you'd have to really do conversions and things. Like you'd have to have spent the $200+ on it. Like you can't just go out and buy a
I'd be
single
interested
like
to look on
squad or something.
eBay, like if people are. I'm sure there are people already selling some of the stuff, the individual plastics and stuff online. That might be the better way to go. Oh, I guess I can say I looked a little through like the artwork and stuff in the codex that they provided you with the game, and it's remarkably good, which I was pleasantly surprised of. Um,
Yeah, it's nice to see that like Games Workshop has sort of gone back and like put a focus on making that stuff good because there were some dark years where
okay, Fox says some resellers already have individual bits for sale. Well, so for instance, here's an illustration of one of the sisters, and she has like a bolt pistol. I wish, and it looks pretty small.
you need to take off the camera.
Oh, thank you. It looks pretty small. I wish that's what they look like.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
But the artwork's good. Um, and overall, like nearly all, it's all very consistent. Like you go
I think
through
that's
most of
really
it.
nice. Well, it's nice that they. It seems like they kind of realized some of, or this book at least makes me think they realized, and I guess for like Blackstone Fortress, things like that, they realized that like Paul Dayton, like his art style is like really good and it fits with sort of the darker aesthetic that I think people like about 40K. And it's nice to see that. I mean, I imagine he didn't do like all the artwork in here, but like the
No.
people who have done the work in here all have like a relatively similar style to that, and like, which is really nice.
No, I feel you could actually look through this book and actually get ideas and inspiration to like make conversions and other models and stuff, which is sort of something that isn't nearly as common with a lot of the GW publications. I think in general, though, the art has been getting better and better. And as you had mentioned, some of the stuff like Blackstone Fortress, a lot of it, the
On
almost like
Warcry
the
too.
yeah, Warcry as well. The visual narrative and stuff that they establish is all very good, and it's pretty uniform throughout. Um, it doesn't look like they just collected a bunch of fan art from like DeviantArt or something and put it in the book.
Hey everybody, I think I'm rocking out of here. Like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can certainly keep talking.
All
Thanks
right. Well,
everybody for listening.
yeah. See you, Greg.
See
See
you,
ya.
Greg.
Yeah. Now, Captain Timble. Yeah, it would be great to do some 3D modeling to like reduce the size of guns. I feel it's something that if we would start to try to explore doing some 3D sculpting, that sort of thing, that would be one of the first things we'd want to do.
Yeah.
And because like it would be nice, because particularly if you want to convert like smaller weapons or something, since the guns, even though they're gigantic, like when on the model compared to other things, like they're still small things, and to cut the size in half, like it's really fiddly work.
And I feel the
So
almost the bigger problem is like, so certainly I did a bunch of that work for like the Imperial Guard that I worked on a year or so ago. The big thing is trying to do enough of the conversions and make the size between the different weapons consistent. Because a lot of it for the weapons involves a whole hell of a lot of like sanding down and cutting off big pieces of plastic and then trying to essentially by eye make sure the different like barrel lengths, etc., and are close is hard. And you could essentially get around a lot of that if you digitally sculpted it.
yeah, and I feel then you could even just print them at different sizes and such to try to determine what looked the best, that sort of thing
No, that's true too. Um,
would be
because
good.
I feel with the stuff that I've done, as I convert more and more weapons, I feel I tend to just keep making everything smaller and smaller and smaller because initially when I'd convert something, I'd make it smaller, but and it looked significantly smaller than like the official stuff, but in the scheme of things, it still wasn't that small.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool to see. I'd be interested in seeing what you can come up with, Captain Timberlake. Because I know the three of us have certainly talked about the notion of maybe trying our hand at doing some digital sculpting, and I feel that would be a place where I might start. Um, but yeah, we'll see. There's too many things to do.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is.
Yeah, nah, bolt pistol I feel would be a good place to start. I know, and like some of the bolt pistols and stuff I've kind of reworked. I always tried adding like the magazine in the pistol grip, which I feel makes a little more sense, and it's certainly more in line with the pistols like Space Marines and stuff have on their side in like
The
the
holstered
holsters
thing.
and everything.
And it would actually give like the weapon would actually have a barrel
Yeah,
rather than, but it certainly kind of removes sort of that iconic look. But
yeah.
it
Well, I
is
remember
what
in
it is.
the first Eisenhorn novel, the bolt pistol he has, um, the magazine is loaded in the pistol grip as well. So we can say there's at least some precedent for it. Oh,
But you got that from like a Death Watch librarian that maybe has better stuff.
yeah. Only the best for the Death Watch and other arms of the Inquisition, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess that is true. That the iconic look is a little. The Primaris, are they? What are they? Are they called Bold Pit? They have a different name, don't they?
I
I
assume
don't
they do.
remember. They
I
yeah
don't know what it
they
is.
they look different and they are not as iconic. I don't think. let's see. So
Yeah. So, Adam, do you think are you gonna do anything with these sisters soon? Like, what would be the first thing you'd want to do with them?
I think if anything, I would try. Like I started trimming one of them. What I would do is, the models themselves, I don't really think there's a whole lot that I would want to change aside from the bolters. So I almost feel like maybe I'll take one or two and kind of as like a proof of principle, um, trim down the weapons to make them smaller,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then just kind of see what they look like.
Yeah.
No, yeah, if you just essentially scale down like a Space Marine bolt pistol like heavily, it would look better. And I mean, if you look at a lot of like the artwork of like Space Marines and stuff like that, the bolt pistols are almost always a lot smaller than what you see in the actual models. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll see like over the next few weeks or so. Maybe I'll cut up one of these bolters. I don't think it'll be too hard to do. Um, yeah, I feel I essentially just have to cut off the majority of the top of the weapon and replace the barrel entirely. And then I guess add front and rear sights because the sister battle weapons again do not have sights. They also, at least the majority of them, they don't have scopes or anything like that. Like a lot of the older metal sisters of battle, they had different optics and stuff on their guns. Most of that doesn't, you don't really see that on these, which I feel is probably nicer, at least for me, since I would just be cutting all that off anyway. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, the models look nice. And we'll see. Like I could even see maybe I will just actually take one of the Sisters of Battle, convert the bolter and everything, make some other small modifications, and then just try and use the model in like for an Ink 28 warband. Just have one
Yeah.
Sister of Battle
I feel that would be the
because
thing
you
to
could
do.
easily, I feel pretty easily fit one in a lot of things. They have one with a storm bolter. That model looks pretty nice. She's even carrying 2 extra magazines for the storm bolter on her back.
Really?
Yeah, and it doesn't even look terrible. So I thought that was cool. So they certainly, the sculptors and stuff, put in a lot of time and effort to add a lot of small little details and stuff to make the models look nice. So I'm excited about them. I feel they were released at a time where like I feel like I have very little time to like actually do stuff with
Yeah.
them. But I mean, I feel for the most part I'll always be busy with stuff. So I'll just have to find the time. Oh, one thing that I did find was pretty funny. Let me show the workstation camera. If you look at the box for the
Oh, yeah.
release, um, they show the Canonist model. They show the multi-part model, and then also in the picture of the entire army, which is not the model you actually get in the set. So I just thought that was kind of funny. So I guess they the photographer or the person putting together the images made a small mistake there. For like for a for like a short instant, I was like, "Oh, cool. Maybe that is the model they include in the set," and it's
Nope.
not. It's not.
Nope.
But it's fine. The one they include in the set is cool. Like her bionic legs, neat.
Well, generally, from like all the models there, what do you think is your favorite in the set?
Hmm. I don't actually know. Um. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure. Like, just about all the models are nice. Like, I feel like some of the standard sisters are it's between them and the Repentia. They look really good. Um, they they look remarkably similar to the old shitty models, but um, all the changes and stuff they made to them make them so much more believable and better than the other ones. So like
Yeah.
um I think they're some of my favorites. Like they have all these different like sockets and stuff for what would like interface with their power armor. They have all sorts of scars and everything. They look really good. So I feel of like all the models that were to be in the Sister Battle range, those were certainly some of the ones that I was worried the most about, and
Yeah.
um, they look really good. Aside from
Yeah.
maybe their
Yeah.
dumb
Yeah.
looking weapons, but even those are quite a bit nicer looking than the old counterparts, so can't really
Hmm.
be too upset.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And like as Vox, you mentioned there, I'm happy. I'm pretty happy with the Arcoflagellants, just in the sense, one thing that they brought some of those models back and like actually made them nice.
No, yeah, they're good. They look nice. Um,
It'll be cool to see um, like a multi-part box for that, just to see more like dynamic poses and such, and different, weapons and that sort of thing.
yeah. No, yeah, this stuff's nice.
I guess they showed some pictures of a Saint Catherine like
Oh, that's true.
relic thing.
I wonder if we can find pictures of that.
Looks pretty good, and it's interesting. It fits very much with the special character leader for the Bone Reapers. That it's a character that has a bunch of other models on the same base, and this is kind of a similar thing. That it's like a little diorama almost,
Hmm.
which is kind of neat. But I feel would be a real pain to paint.
Yeah, it would. Oh, here we go, I think.
Huh. Captain Timble says that um, the new Chaos Warriors, their heads, GW must have confirmed that there are women amongst the Chaos Warriors.
Oh,
That's
that's
really
cool.
cool.
Oh, no, they did
Or
actually. I actually saw that
were there pictures, or I mean,
somewhere.
admittedly, the armor
Yeah,
is
there were
so
somewhere. Well, it is
large and
interesting.
bulky.
Yeah, I saw them somewhere. They also show all of the models. You can actually see their eyes as well. Um, but actually, so this Sister of Battle model with like the procession with like the sarcophagus of one of their saints. Like there are a couple of the models, they're like in heavy robes and everything. And I feel they're awesome looking. They'll be particularly one of these I feel would be a great model to kind of you could make like an arcoflagellant that has like essentially their trigger word has been spoken and they're like active, and then like this model with these heavy trench coats and everything, you could also use that to represent a model
Yeah, because we had been
before
talking
the
about
trigger word has been activated.
doing something like that for the arcoflagellant you're making right now.
Yeah.
And my initial thought was maybe using one of the Deloc models since they're pretty big and tall, that sort of thing. But I feel these could work well. I mean, they're probably smaller, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think they are, but they look good.
Yeah, Voxy, that there was a pretty neat scene in maybe the first Eisenhorn novel like that. But yeah, I feel it would be a cool thing to have models, particularly for then like an Ink 28 game or something that was more narrative driven, that you could have them initially not like not triggered, I suppose. Which yeah, I think is cool.
Oh, wait, is it here? Oh, yeah, here we go. On the Warhammer community site, they show more pictures of the Chaos Warriors, and it does look like they have a lot of different like heads that don't have helmets. Um, and they're pretty varied and interesting looking, and yet at least a few of them are very clearly female. Some of them look almost more um, like dark elves and stuff, but they're pretty varied in like the facial features. And if you look closer at some of the heads with the helmets, like you can actually see they sculpted their eyes and stuff
They have like
underneath the
individual
helmet.
teeth.
Yeah,
Oh
which
yes.
I feel is cool. It is sort of the type of thing where it's like, oh god, they sculpted that in there. Like now I feel like I should actually paint that. But
Yeah.
you could still just as easily just paint it black and it wouldn't matter. But
Yeah. Oh yeah, wow, they look really nice.
they do look nice.
Well, it's great to see all those different helmet types, and then all the unhelmeted ones, just very different looking facial structures, physiognomies, that sort of thing. That's really nice.
Yeah, so they're cool.
And that the armor itself isn't any different. Like, damn, that's like what more could you want?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I can't believe how nice these Chaos Warriors are, and that they didn't like backpedal and make them worse than the older Brian Nelson ones, that they just kind of took that and continued to build upon it.
You know, I feel like that these heads will be like so great for other conversions and stuff, even if you're not interested in making like a Chaos Warrior army of sorts. They're just so varied and scarred and interesting looking. Like they'll be really good for conversions. Yeah, no, they're cool. So that's good to see. Hopefully, like they're just like a ton of different like options and stuff. That would be great. But what probably more likely what it'll be is each of the different sets will have a bunch of options,
Mm-hmm.
and you would sort of want to buy the Chaos Warriors themselves and the less cool Chaos Knights. But even them, like looking at them, there are certainly aspects of them that are pretty nice, but like their lances and some of their helmets are a little more on the wonky side than like the serious and sinister side. Like this guy here, this champion, he looks okay. Look at that
Mm-hmm.
Macy, that chained mace he has, break right off.
Pretty
Right
cool.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, it sure would break off.
Hmm. All right. Well, I guess we should probably think about ending the
Yeah.
stream soon. We've been going at it for a while now, and
Mm-hmm.
I unfortunately have to get up and go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us and chatting with us about models and such. It's been fun. Thanks
Yeah,
for your
no.
continued support and your comments. And hopefully within the next week or two, I'll be able to do something with at least one of these Sisters of Battle. But we'll see. I'll continue to update everyone on probably the next stream and maybe some Instagram posts and that nature. Yep,
Yeah.
no, it's always fun hanging out. So I guess until next time, everyone, keep on enjoying the hobby and other things as well. And I guess we'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Talk to you soon, everybody. See
Over
ya.
and out.